There's a reason they say not to use Wikipedia as a source, but I don't know. To collate a lot of this data is very interesting. Today, I want to talk about industry layoffs and from the perspective of what can be done to remedy this, at least in some sense, by the publishers. The publishers have their pride. Their gamers have their pride as well. And, you see some comments, and many of the people that make these comments, I have to wonder, and I got to ask, guys, do y'all realize the ramifications of some of the things that you want to happen actually being put into the test? I mean, think about it. If you decide, or if you want, say, some form of fashion of the gaming industry to follow a certain route, you got to understand that there are consequences to all of that. It's not something that can easily be overlooked, because at the end of the day, the reason video games are made are for profit. That's it. The core reason that video games are made are for profit, especially with big companies, big players infusing hundreds of millions and billions of dollars into it. Should give you more indication that this is what the video game industry is. It is a for-profit industry. This year alone, when you go on Wikipedia, where they've collated as much data as they possibly can, you'll realize that the number of layoffs have been insane. The number of studio closures as well have been insane. Embracer, I think, is leading the group in the number of, studio closures or layoffs, that have happened. Then Unity follows. Unity is a technology firm. I don't know why they're in this video game. I guess they're under video game industry layoffs. Then Sony 1,400, Microsoft 2,880, EA 1,470. EA is actually closing in on Sony. Ubisoft 1,021, Epic Games 870, Take-Two Interactive, Riot Games, and Sega. I'm going to get a calculator so that we can add all of this up, okay? Because I think there needs to be some perspective put into this, because a lot of you are saying stuff and you don't understand that there are lives behind the things that you're saying. So let's run some numbers, okay? Stay with me. We're going to do it together, okay? You guys ready? So 7,800 plus 2,900 plus 2,880 plus 1,475 plus 1,470 plus 1,021 plus 870 plus 630 plus 562 plus 438. If I missed a number, correct me in the comment section, please. So about 20,000 people have been laid off from the gaming industry from around 2023 to 2024. Now, take this into account that the reason many of them are laid off is because these big companies want to align their profits to be much more streamlined. In fact, we saw some instance of it when PlayStation's data leaked, where we saw that Insomniac leak showed that Sony was pressuring the studio to lay off employees. After PlayStation or Sony acquired Bungie, they did a restructuring in that regard. After Activision Blizzard was acquired, Xbox laid off a lot of folk based on redundancy, huge swaths of people. So there are a lot of people who don't have, who lost their jobs due to these industry shakeups. The ones that I actually want to focus on are the ones that lost their job because their studios were not profitable and they did not meet sales goals, or they didn't even do well in sales to even talk about being, in a place where they could stay afloat. And in this market, with all of this going on, I saw a comment from an audience member. They said, "Brother, I love your channel. Hear me out. I was a 360 gamer. Before that, I was all Sony and Nintendo, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, PSP, the DS, Nintendo Wii 64, the Wii. When the 360 came out, I played, SVR 2007. I don't know what that game, WWE, sorry. Look at that game today. The graphics are, when you compare it back and forth, it's perfect. Xbox had Halo, Gears of War, Fable, Xbox, and all these other games. And there were so many hidden gems like Tony Hawk, and the skating games and blah, 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 blah. Dead Rising. The 360 had the Kinect, blah, 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 blah. Xbox One improved so much. Great exclusives. Kinect was great. They added so many features, and one fatal flaw, they went DRM. And look, now DRM is a standard. Okay, whatever. They said this: Phil just ruined my Xbox. This isn't the Xbox that we know and love. Phil took all away and gave us nothing but Game Pass. WTF? I don't like PC, bro. It's not great. Max Payne won't run. I can't play Fear because the input is terrible. I don't use mouse and keyboard. I just want to plug and play. PlayStation 5 is doing what Xbox 360 and Xbox One were doing. Exclusives give us something to look forward to. An Xbox exclusive means that you get the best experience on your platform because it's made for your platform. Okay. How do I put this in perspective? First of all, I don't know what the PC side had to do with things. If a game is not working well for you on PC because it's old, that's a whole different conversation. You can always, go read something on Reddit to make it work. Again, you can't even play most of these games anyways on some of these consoles. PlayStation doesn't give you that much backward compatibility without charging you money. So to even say that about Xbox and game preservation, it's kind of strange. I don't know. To say that PS5 is doing what Xbox 360 and Xbox One was doing, I don't know. But the thing about exclusives I want to point out in this comment is that exclusives giving you something to look forward to is an old school mindset of doing things. That's all it is. Games are what I think a gamer should be looking forward to. And I think games are what a gamer should be, anticipating because they bought their platform to play games. If exclusivity is that good, and if it actually does work, right? And it does make sense, then why are studios starting to see success in multi-platform? Like here's PlayStation's MLB The Show. When Business Wire, a Berkshire Hathaway company, was talking about their release, talked about how MLB The Show had sold more than 2 million copies within about 3 or so months, which was basically the franchise's ever biggest sales. And San Diego studios, this is their bread and butter. If they do not get this game profitable, they're going away. They would join the fold of a lot of those developers who lost their jobs because they did not sell games. When you think about this, exclusives may make you warm and fuzzy inside, but they are very dangerous to studios who don't have established IPs. That's just the reality. So again, the ramifications, and we're looking at it now. I'm not saying that the companies, do they care about their studios? I don't know. As much as the studios are able to bring in money for them, I guess. But at the end of the day, you can want exclusives, but just know that if that exclusive blows up in the face of that studio will be gone. The studio will be gone. Arcane Austin, gone. Firewalk Studios, gone. Other studios who it's not even their problem because, money wasn't made, gone. Like they didn't even make a game. I think it was Deviation Games on the PlayStation side, gone. Tango Gameworks, they made a game. They tried to put the game on PlayStation to sell more copies. Didn't seem like it was working out. There are all kinds of different things with Tango. Some people said it's because, their studio lead left. They weren't necessarily wanting to, follow Microsoft's own whatever, so they gave them away, I guess. Or they sold them out to Krafton, or Krafton's taking over them, but gone nonetheless. If at the most, creative directors and people will lose their jobs if games don't sell. So, again, you can have exclusives, but these games today are facing a different kind of beast. I don't know what the data set specifically was, but I think it was Linus Tech Tips that pulled it. And Linus Tech Tips said that there are only about, 40 games or so that took up, I think it was like 45% of gamers' time in terms of gaming. There was just a handful of these games that were basically taking everybody's time. Everybody that was playing video games and such literally was playing a handful of games. And that's why we always look at that data. Now, I know I use that data set, to basically hound PlayStation fans that are giving me problems, when we're having conversations and such, right? But really, though, ladies and gentlemen, if these, if these games that are taking everybody's time don't stop taking everybody's time, the gaming industry is cooked if they can't find ways to sell other games that they already have in development, because many of these games were in development probably even before, we started seeing these major shifts. So now they're going to come into a market where more and more people are now going to sit on these live service games. Because you want something to look forward to that you're already going to get. exclusives, you were going to already get the game. I don't know how else to actually deal with this. I mean, Xbox and old Xbox fans that are complaining about Phil Spencer and Game Pass and all this. Can you imagine somebody said they gave you Game Pass, WTF? They gave you all the games that you don't have to pay $70 for, or you have to pay $70, whichever one you want. So what these people are saying is they would prefer to pay $70 for a full game so that the game will be exclusive and they can be warm and fuzzy inside. You know, every time people will blame PlayStation fans and such, but I think some of the Xbox fans are also like, I think you guys make things really hard. I think you are not looking at a broader context, and you know, you go into these circles and you don't. Peace out.